Hey guys, what's going on? Inception here, and welcome to another video. Today is going to be another episode for the Road to Glory series. We ended up making two different teams now, guys. So the players that we have in our teams is basically off of built up coins, built up pack rewards. I know that some people have been wondering how we've accumulated the coins that we've have accumulated so far. A lot of it came from that SBC, the advanced SBC, because it actually gave us a lot of very good amount of coins. Because we got if you guys didn't see the last episode, we got players like Eric Bailly, Saul, Kovacic, Felipe Anderson. So they gave us a lot of coins to work with to make a somewhat meta team that would be somewhat effective. So this is the first team that we have. So this is a Liga Santander 1 team, right? The way that this team is set up in the beginning of the match is that it is a 4-2-3-1. Now, I can set this team up in the beginning to play the 4-2-3-1 that I want to play. But the reason why I haven't done that yet is because I haven't experimented to try it out with a 4-2-3-1 bracket 2 or a 4-2-3-1 with, or well, it has to be the bracket 2 one because it has a left wing and the right wing, to see if the Sanson, if I can still get the same chemistry with Sanson with other players. But I don't think I actually can, because then I'll also be missing. There's the cam spot, and then there's a center back spot. I actually might be able to do it, so I might just switch this to a 4-2-3-1 from the basic, but I'm gonna have to try it out to see if it works. But basically, I use the 4-2-4 in the beginning of the game before I start because it gives me the chemistry. So I have 100 chemistry with this team, and from the dynamic tactic, which I'll show you guys right now, um, I will switch to my defensive tactic, right? So my defensive tactic is the 4-2-3-1. So you can see that it's the narrow variation of it. I switch Ben Yedder to the cam position, and by the ways, he plays amazingly well over there. Absolutely love this card. One of my favorites, actually. Him and Muriel have been incredible. Gonzalo Guedes, Ousmane Dembele, Muriel up top, Sanson, Kondogbia. This is actually a pretty solid team. I enjoy this team for what it is. It offers a lot of balance in different areas. Obviously, you have someone like Sanson with medium work rates, and you have someone like Kondogbia with high medium work rates. The Kondogbia card is very good, but the problem with him is obviously his work rate. Sometimes he'll be caught out of position, even if you have your tactics to be really small on players in the box, and if you have him on stay back while attacking, which we currently do have him here. So I start off with defensive tactics, so I can switch to the 4-2-3-1, right? A pretty decent team, to be honest. I like the balance of the squad. It works out really nicely. And the instructions for this one, since it's defensive, I also have the stay back while attacking for the fullbacks, and then everything else I keep on balanced. Except for this, I actually want to put that back to normal because I like it. I like when the players decide how they want to attack, and I also feel like balanced is a pretty good defensive style and offensive style to use when attacking and defending. So that's the first team that we use. So that's what I do. I switch to the 4-2-3-1 with this team. Obviously, I don't want to. Oh, save these changes, yes, because I changed the striker Muriel to not get in behind. So that's the first team. The second team that we have here is this team right here. This team right here. So this is the cheaper variation of the team. Now, from the last game that I played, I ended up getting a red card with Partey, but that's okay because we have all the players on the bench over here to gain the fitness back, right? I think that my goalkeeper actually might be losing fitness at some point, and it doesn't actually seem like he is. He only just got to 98, which is interesting because I've played a lot of games with him in the team already. So it's cool that he's actually not losing a lot of the fitness, right? So with this team, this is the last team they'll use. So again, we start off with the 4-2-3-1. I think this team, I'm gonna start off with the 4-2-3-1 because it's already Liga Santander. So I will switch this to an actual 4-2-3-1 bracket 2 for the balanced version of the formation. So that way I can start off in a 4-2-3-1 from the beginning instead of having a 4-2-4 in the beginning and then switching the tactics in game, right? So that way I can have the left mid, the right mid cover on defense for the beginning of the match, because I know that the opponents are always going to try to use the kickoff glitch, right? So got to be very careful with that. But I can actually switch this because I use Rodrigo as a striker. Everybody is in the positions that I normally use this. You guys should try out this card, this Morales card. Very good. 4-star, high medium work rates, 5'11". Awesome to have. Is right-footed with a good weak foot. And if you look at his actual attributes, I've given most of the cards a sniper, and I'll get into that as we show the highlights of the video, and I'll show you guys why I like it in particular, because you guys will notice I have sniper on pretty much all my attackers and anchor on pretty much all my defensive players. And then the goalie, I haven't put a chemistry style on him yet, and I have to because his positioning is poor, and that actually might make me concede goals. So I haven't even noticed that I didn't put that on him yet, so I probably should. But the way that this team is set up in the game is very similar to the last team, right? So 4-2-3-1 as well, similar playstyle, right? So this is how it's set up on the balance, but then I switch to defensive again, and then you're going to see how the players are set up. So you can see here that Rodrigo is playing as my striker, Kevin Gamero as my cam, Gelson Martins as my right attacking mid, Morales as my left attacking mid, Yokoslu as a left center defensive mid. Because he has the 4-star weak foot, that's why I like using him there. Partey is incredible in this game, definitely recommend using him. Murillo, Gabriel Paulista, Gaia, DeMarcos. Not a huge fan of Gaia, but it's nice to have someone that has pace in that situation over there. I also gave him an anchor card as well so that you can improve the physical, defense, and pace of the cards. And yeah, it's been working out really nicely. This is the two teams that I use to rotate between all of them, and it seems to be working out really nicely. The instructions of starting off my team with defensive tactics, where I have the instructions of my fullbacks to stay back while attacking, the CDMs to stay back while attacking, has been working out really nicely for me because in previous years of FIFA, I never liked getting counterattacked, right? So it's really nice that I can actually set the tactics of the get into the box, right, to be on a 4 or even lower, right? So I'm experimenting to see how much I want to be able to create certain attacking opportunities and how much I don't. I feel like 4 players in the box is a good balance because you can see that your striker and your left attacking mid actually do commit inside the box. And if you have players that can win the ball in the air, it's actually very nice to be able to cross the ball across, right? I think the 4 is a good balance so far so that they still do make the runs. And it's noticeable. The thing is that when you guys are seeing it as it is right now, you're going to notice goals that I score in the highlights that I'm going to show you guys of players actually doing that. And it's really cool that you can actually see the difference in game now instead of trying to like guesstimate basically what the tactics are going to be like. Everything that you see here, the players play exactly to what you see. So it's been working out really nicely for me. Those are the two teams that I have been using. Now we're going to get on to the highlights and why I've been using certain chemistry styles and players in certain positions and why it's been working out really nicely for me. Alright guys, so we're going to start off with the reward that we ended up getting. Now, a lot of the times, depending on the packs that they give us from the rewards, I'm probably going to be choosing the coin reward more because, you know, pack weight in FIFA is not the greatest sometimes, so it's probably more preferable to get a player or to get the coin reward, which is the guaranteed amount of coins so that you can build up your team. So I could have been higher up in the ranks in terms of where I ended up finishing for my division rivals, but I didn't end up playing the day after the first day that I played, so I couldn't really build up until I got to that rank 1 spot. So I do apologize for that because we could have gotten good rewards, but that day I just couldn't stream, I couldn't do anything. But now that we are free and stuff, we got a lot of days to go on ahead and try to grind for the best type of rewards for division rivals. So that's why you guys will see that I choose the 32k in the beginning. But with the new team that we're playing with right now, with the 4-2-3-1 or the 4-2-4, but then starting with then playing with the 4-2-3-1 by the dynamic tactic, again, it's been working out really nicely for us. So the first few games, I think I was using the Liga Santander team that I finished off with in the last episode, and then basically I had to buy a secondary team because what happens is when you start replacing certain players, it kind of messes up with your dynamic tactics, right? Because if you put in a player that has to replace the player that you're using, maybe you might not want to use him in the same position that the previous player was playing. For instance, if I was using Rodrigo, right, and I was using Rodrigo as a left attacking mid, and now I can no longer use him there in the left attacking mid spot because I switched him for a right-footed player that doesn't have a good weak foot, like a 4-star weak foot, it's not an ideal thing to do, right? So that's why I made 2 different teams so I wouldn't have to worry about that. Fitness has always been a concern in FIFA, so it's always best to make 2 different squads and then you just basically play from there. I'll try to build a team the best way that I possibly can. I need to be playing a lot of games in the next week so that we can qualify for FUT Champs, because I think right now we're on 500 or 600 points or so, because a lot of the streams and a lot of the times that we've been spending on the game has been through building the team and finding a balance of being able to play games and also building up the points so that we can qualify for FUT Champs. So that's the important thing for me right now. But I do still want to do really well in division rivals, so that we can qualify for FUT Champs and try to do well in that, so we can get good rewards in that as well. But so far, I haven't played a draft yet. In the next episode, I'm probably going to continue the draft that we started in the stream earlier today, or earlier yesterday, where I basically created the team, and it was a 4-1-2-2, and I have all the players already set up in the squad. It ended up being 100 chemistry, interesting players in certain positions, but it worked out really nicely for us. So I am going to make a draft video probably for the next episode of the Road to Glory. Going to be my first draft, so it should be very interesting. I'll give my tactics and instructions for the 4-1-2-2 when that video comes out, and then we'll just go from there, right? But the way that the team was moving so far, once I made the 2 different squads, I didn't notice too much of a difference in terms of the quality of the team. Obviously, the work rates will make the players feel different. So, if you have someone who is a high-low work rates on the sides, they might not commit backwards as much as someone who is on high-medium or high-high. I think the ideal thing for me to get in the future is someone who is high as a left attacking mid and a right attacking mid, because I feel like when they're high work rates, on balanced instructions, they actually move around the pitch really nicely, right? So I think I'm definitely going to prefer that. I think high medium is okay for the cam, because I feel like he's well positioned and he's up there for the attack if I ever need him. The reason why the high would work is because I wouldn't necessarily want to make the instruction of comeback on defense, because it actually makes them lose stamina. When they're balanced like that on high work rates, it kind of makes them conserve their energy more, but still kind of commit backwards, but probably not as aggressively, because they still have the high attacking work rates, right? So I'm definitely going to consider that once we get things situated in the team. I think the most ideal thing I'm going to want for my CDM so far is I'm going to want to have medium high. I love Kondogbia. I think Kondogbia is a fantastic player. He moves around the pitch really nicely, defends like an absolute god. I love him to death in this game. Only problem with him is his work rates. It's kind of similar to like a Bakayoko from last year, right? Bakayoko was really good. I think Kondogbia is way better than Bakayoko this year, because Kondogbia is a more well-rounded player, whereas Bakayoko was more of a defensive player. Like, he had decent pace, but he has the defensive and the physical stats that made him a really good CDM. But Kondogbia in general has good all-round stats that make him a very, very solid CDM. Problem with him again is the high medium work rates. He pushes up sometimes too much. Even if I have like a 4 on get into the box and stay back while attacking for the Kondogbia, he'll stay back, but he'll still be a little bit more forward, right? Because of that attacking work rates. It's a characteristic of his, so it makes sense that it happens. So with Kondogbia, I tried to get a balance with, I think I have Sanson next to him. So Sanson is medium work rates in the left center defensive mid side. So that way I have a balance of someone that's a little bit more defensive oriented than someone like Kondogbia, but not too defensive oriented. So again, I do want to try to get medium high center defensive mids whenever I can. I think for strikers, the work rates that's going to work out best for me, I think, is going to be high-low work rates, because I just really like how the attackers move when I don't give them instructions. I don't know what it is, right? Like when I tell my Muriel to get in behind, it's too linear, right? When you have balance, your players kind of like analyze what's happening around the pitch, and then they just kind of like utilize the space that they can utilize. But when you use get in behind with your attackers, it's not ideal, because they're always getting in behind. Sometimes you actually want the support of the striker to be next to you, so you can lay it off to the players who are the left and right attacking mids that are making all those extra runs, right? So something to take into consideration as well, right? I do think high-low will be the nicest to have. Someone like Ronaldo will probably be a god to have as a striker, but only time will tell as well, right? A lot of the players in this game, after playing more games, and I think my opinion still stands, are very usable in this game. I've realized that, the players that have like 78 pace, 77 pace, or so on and so forth, they actually play really well as strikers, even lone strikers in this game. Now, obviously, there's going to be certain situations where they could have been through on goal, and that's where the meta kicks in, where you want to have the pace, the shooting, the dribbling, the passing, so on and so forth, but you can't really have everything. The strikers in this game, when you have someone like, let's just say, for instance, you get Gamero, right? Which is someone that I ended up using as a cam in my team. I put Sniper on him. Hunter has been nerfed, which is amazing. I love that they nerfed Hunter because Hunter was used everywhere. It was just pace demons everywhere. But now, a player's characteristics is more noticeable, right? So if you have someone that has good pace already, and they got like 74 passing, 73 passing, but then they have like 75 shooting and 77 dribbling or something, they're usable now, and they actually finish quite decently. Not in the full meta like someone like Neymar or Ronaldo will, but they will still finish quite nicely, right? They'll be able to score certain opportunities that you just couldn't have scored last year. Because I think Gelson Martins, for instance, is a really good example. So there's going to be certain situations with someone like Gelson Martins where he's not going to be able to take a really good driven shot across goal because he doesn't have the finishing and the composure to always do it. But he's still very usable and a very, very fun card to use, because when I do get through on goal with him, he's not bad at finessing it around the goalkeeper and tapping it under his arms, right? He's not bad at doing it. So I feel like in that regard, I feel like EA did a really good job, because when you give a card Sniper, it makes them feel better in dribbling, and Gelson Martins is already very good at dribbling, but improving it even more just makes him significantly better, or feel significantly better. And then same thing with Dembele. Dembele already has 89 dribbling, but I even gave him a Sniper card because his pace is already really good and his passing is already really good. So again, it just works out really nicely, because I know a lot of people have been complaining about the pace aspect in FIFA so far, but I kind of like that it's not overpowered, because it kind of makes you think out your attacking plans more, plays more, right? So you have to dribble in certain areas and pass in certain areas to attack in certain areas, and it works really nicely. So I would take that into consideration when kind of talking about certain game mechanics, because when I use someone like Neymar, when he's through on goal, most of the times he's through on goal, because remember that you guys have to use the right stick to push the ball forward to chase after it so you're faster, right? People forget about that mechanic when they're attacking, and it definitely hinders the quality of people's opinions towards like the pace of the game. Now, is it weird that sometimes a 55 pace center back catches up to someone that has 90 pace? Yes, but to be honest, I would say a good 70% or 75% of the times that the center back catches up to your left mid and right mid, you didn't really deserve to get through on goal, because a lot of the times I get through on goal with someone like Muriel, who's dribbling with the ball, he does end up getting through on goal. So I would definitely take that into consideration. A left back that I recently got was Theo Hernandez. I would definitely recommend Theo Hernandez for anybody's team, because as a left back, he plays really well in that position. I have him on stay back while attacking, and he does do that, but he kind of pushes up a tiny bit because he does still have high medium work rates. But he has been playing really well for me in that position. I ended up getting DeMarcos as well. The reason why is because I think he has a good balance between the physical, the defending, and the pace. And physical is a good thing to improve this year, right? So this is the thing that I was going to mention with the chemistry styles. So I think the meta this year for most of the cards, and it's not like this for everybody, it's just like this right now for the beginning of the Road to Glory. Snipers should be used on your attackers that already have good pace, and anchors should be used on your CDMs and your back four. Goalkeeper, I haven't even given a card yet. My Neto, who plays for Valencia, Brazilian goalkeeper, he doesn't have a chemistry style right now, and I totally forgot about that, because it's important to give them chemistry styles to boost certain areas that they need to be boosted in. For instance, someone like Neto has 78 positioning, and 78 positioning is not the greatest to have. So I think the card is glove. It's whichever is the three upgrades on the right side, right? So you want to upgrade the top, the middle, and the bottom. I think it's handling, not diving. I think it's handling, position, and it might be diving actually, or reflexes. I think it's reflexes actually. Those are really important goalkeeper stats to always upgrade. Also, another thing I've noticed is that I feel like the kicking distribution of the goalkeepers is actually noticeable in this year's game, right? So very nice to use when you get possession of the ball, like when your goalie kicks it up and he does the driven kick so you can go through on goal. It's actually noticeable that when a player has good kicking stats, he's more accurate so that the player can actually go through on goal, right? It's not overpowered, it's just very effective. It's kind of like how Ederson does it in real life, or how David De Gea does it in real life. They're just really good with the ball at their feet, and it shows in the game, right? Like when I'm using Netu, obviously he's not the greatest with the ball at his feet, but you can see it with his dribbling, the way that he moves around the pitch. It doesn't really seem right, but once I played like a couple of games with goalkeepers that actually can dribble really nicely, you definitely notice the difference between them, right? But so far, yeah, I have only been using the 4-2-3-1 for my division rivals. Reason being for that is because for division rivals, or for a road to glory in general, it's very hard to experiment with different formations until you get better players, because in that way you can actually start off on a balanced formation and then switch to your attacking, your ultra attacking, and your defensive and your ultra defensive properly, so you can figure out what tactics works best in each situation. Because there was a game that I tied against someone in this video. I tied with him 2-2. I could have beaten him 2-1, or I could have beaten him by more if I switched to a 4-1-2-1-2. He was a good player, by the way, so he definitely deserved the tie. But I just felt like I could have exploited the middle of his team, and it's really hard to do that with the current players that I have, because if I have the two CDMs and someone, I could have done this before, but it just didn't work out at the time. If I use Sanson as one of the left center mids, and then I use one of the attackers as a right center mid, and then the CDM as a stay back while attacking, so on and so forth, it just would have been nice to be able to rotate if it didn't end up working out. So it's going to be interesting to see in the future, once we keep upgrading our team, what kind of team we're going to end up having, and seeing what formations will work best in each scenario when playing against our opponent. I love dynamic tactics. I love being able to change it and not have to pause it, so that I can adjust certain things in my team. It's the best feature ever in this game. But that is going to conclude the video for today, guys. I hope you guys did enjoy it. If you guys did enjoy the video, please drop a thumbs up on it. Definitely helps out the channel a lot. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.